Right, retro fans, we are back. It's been a while. I guess I got to the point where I was only going to make videos of things that I really wanted to rebuild, get out of that cycle of just building anything I could find around COVID times, which is why the channel's been quite quiet. But here is something which, for many of you and for any Marin fans, you'll know exactly what it is and exactly what we're looking at. As with many of these bikes, this Marin 1990 Marin Eldridge has been turned into a very practical, practical and logical, I guess, commuting transportation device. Very sensible mud guards. The reflectors are still on. As you can see here, a remarkable condition, not perfect, but remarkable Zolotone paint condition. The only real marks are those ones through there. The original, if I'm not mistaken, it still has, well, it doesn't clearly have the original tyres. The original rims is factory spec. Look at those hubs, still with the stickers on them, as you can see. There are some sorry parts of it, of course. This is all going to come up a tree, but I genuinely think we might end up getting away with just a good clean here. It is, of course, the brethren to my already in the workshop, my Marin Palisades from 1990. Looking a bit sorry actually at the minute. I'm going to need to change these tyres over. I think I've been swapping wheels when I've been bored. But this isn't in bad condition. This seat post was frozen solid, so that's a more modern addition, but this is also in very original condition. I changed the thumb shifters over in period from the very recently underbar shifters. But this is all, whereas the Palisades Trail is your Exage 300 LX and Biopace chainrings, this bad boy was Dior LX, which at the time, again, unobtainable for me as a young pup, a teenager. The Eldridge was indeed 2 up in the range from the Palisades, so in between these two was the Bear Valley. My brother actually owned a Bear Valley, not a 1990, 1989, pre-Zolotone. That was black with gold decals. But, that's just for the geeks out there. I can't wait to get at this. So join me as I go through the various stages of making this look catalogue spec once again. Oh, look at that. No, the bars haven't been cut down like some crazy London commuter-esque activity or behaviour that we used to do in the back of the 90s. So they're original width. It actually might even be rideable. I think it's even my size. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so we've started to remove all the different components. We've stripped down the bike to begin with. We're removing all of the original reflectors, which also show that it's never really been abused or taken off road, which is good to see. Wheels are off. They're going to be getting new tyres, but remarkably clean, original Walber AT18. These were the spec rims, as I believe. This is all flowing pretty well. Look at that original Exage. I don't know if you can see that Exage sticker on there. Yeah, in case of some surface rust, that'll all clean off. Bit of white wine vinegar. We'll soak that overnight, or we'll get some wire wool on it. But generally speaking, great condition. Bit of white paint splatter from where it's been in a garage and someone's vigorously opened a can of paint. But no matter, we'll be able to deal with that. The bike itself, I forgot to take an actual photograph, but you can just see the built-in grime from the years and bolts that we can change, like this chap here. It's just a bit dirty, but all of this is in what would be considered reasonable condition. The paint on the forks is, there's all that stuff's muck. Really, really good paint work. The shifters shift remarkably well, which is also good to see. The hoods on the covers all in great condition. This LX, the grips are going to be going. My stock grip is the OD Attack. We'll try and reinvigorate the glue on that American flag sticker. Alternatively, it might just come off. We could always get a new one. Good to keep the original stickers on. It's only original once. Some of the decals and quite remarkable kind of condition, which is great to see. Even the original stickers here down the frame are awesome. That's not too scratched up. Hoping there's some marks here. Hoping some of these marks will come out with some various bits of tonic and all different types of well, lubricants, all sorts of manner of potions that we have here in the workshop. I mean, just look at that. Look at that original. It's so smooth. The bearings in there are unbelievably smooth. You know, then you get little things like this. Just let it down. It's some of the cheaper bolts. But generally speaking, that's what you can see. But hopefully, you're going to see a massive improvement as we go through it all. I mean, just look at that headset. Head tube, I should say, decal. I mean, oh my God, perfect. You try recreating that in the right colour. Absolutely doesn't matter how good you are, and we have some great suppliers here in the UK who do decals and try their best, but you're never going to get it like the original. You know, even the kind of fork legs, bit of a scuff on the fork leg there. Nothing, absolutely nothing for a 35-year-old machine that's usually been abused. So, also original seat pin, I believe, here, and also the original saddle, which has just a little nick in it there, but you know, they all had them because we've all leant them up against the wall, and then it's slid, the wind's blown and it's blown over, and the brick has gripped the fabric. But you know, it's no big deal. That is no big deal. So let me get on. Next stage will probably be to take off chain rings, look at cleaning up some of these metallic parts as well and getting that ship shape, and we will also move to cleaning on the wheels. Just cleaning the wheels, putting the new tyres on. We've got some smokes, some readditioned smokes. No dart front tyre. It will be 2 smokes. Guess why? Because the dart wasn't introduced until 1992, and this is a 1990 bike, so it wouldn't have been available. So we're going to move on. Right, a lot of scrubbing and degreasing later, and these 2 components are looking very, very different. If you reference the video later, so they're coming along. What else have I done? These didn't have any bolts in, so some new bolts. They're looking nice and shiny. Started to clean up the frame. It's not quite done yet, but next job is this. Look at the state of that. So let's get that looking a bit more like that. Ooh, look at that. Dirty. Okay, 10 minutes later. Bit of degreaser, an old rotten toothbrush, attack the components, and that's all the crap that gets left and built up, mainly on the jockey wheels there. But yeah, that works. And then also a little bit of wire wool after the degreaser. A little bit of was some pitting and little spots of rust on this. A little bit of wire wool, coated in WD-40. That's my tip for cleaning them. Doesn't get them perfect, but it can be useful. Also, if you've got a little scalpel, a blunt, you know, it doesn't matter because it's blunt now, but if you can use the end of this to really get into and scratch away at any kind of really stubborn dirt, really works really well. Better than a rag. You can scratch it away, particularly in the corners of some of these. You can see that there, you get right in the corners of these, which is really hard to do with my fat fingers. Anyway, so that's the components there, and then the rest of the derailleurs on the bike. So we're going to give some degrease and a toothbrush and attack that, and then put it all together. And there we have it. Let's get it back together. Okay, so there it is. All back together. That's now all the chain set, group set, gear shifting set up. We have new grips, all the attacks. Now just time to essentially set up the brakes, new cables, and put the wheels on, and with the new tyres. you're almost going to see it finished. We've also got a new sparkly new chain for the chain set. Okay, we are getting close. The tyres are now fitted to these remarkable condition Walber AT18s, which were catalogue spec. As is everything is very original on this bike. So they're looking good. The last bit of any build though is always some of the details, and these decals, you know, where we can, because they're the absolute correct font, they're absolutely correctly spaced, which some even the most reputable decal suppliers doesn't always get the spacing quite right. And as a graphic designer, that annoys me quite a lot. So there's a couple of details here. We're going to hopefully, this is the before, hopefully I'm going to show you an after, which is better. Similarly, there's a tiny little scuff. It's probably the only scuff in the entire bike. I might have some paint, this roughly the same colour, which can start to match that in. So final couple of details to go, and then we'll do the big reveal. Okay, a little tip when touching in marks on fluoro-esque 90s paintwork. One, you're never going to get a match, so don't worry too much about that. But the second thing is just lay down some white, either white paint or white undercoat, much better, because that underneath there is a black it ends up being a black kind of scratch, if you like. And this stuff is, well, this, by the way, I had this fluorescent paint in the workshop. It looks like actually a reasonable match. It's extremely thin, and so you spray it into the pot, little art brush from a local art shop, and we're going to build it up on top of there. But it would take about 58 coats if you're trying to do it onto the black. It'll probably just take a few dabs just to steer the eye away with this. So I may attempt to even show me painting it while holding the phone, which is incredibly difficult, but I'll give it a go. So I don't know if you can quite see, but it's like water. Yeah, you can see the wet paint in the bottom. You can see I've used this cap a few times. It is like water, but let's give this a go and see if we can touch in. As you can see, it's very, there's barely any really on the brush. You've got to be patient. Let's be patient. Let's see what we can do. Here it is, the grand reveal. It's finished. Let me tell you about this one. I bought it from a very fine chap from Facebook. He'd been using it lightly because it was the wrong size for him for kind of 6-8 months, maybe a year. Whoever had owned it before him, my God, they'd clearly never really used it off-road. It still had its original wheel reflectors and the bicycle shop fitted reflectors on the front and rear. I don't really think it's seen any anger, more than maybe the odd canal path. So many original parts still on this that usually just get lost out through wear and tear. Original seat pin, original saddle, although that's obviously worn off, no surprises there. But look at some of these features. These things were just replaced because they just wore out. You know, that bottom race, I can't even put a shark fin on this because it would be wrong. It's just in such good condition. All of this cleaned up really well. That's got a new chain on it. The chain set cleaned up perfectly. Look at those GeoLX decals. All original. Only original once, as they say. These Zolatone frames also, I mean, given that this was supposed to be a protective coating, I think it wore worse than paint and lacquer. And this is just really, I mean, other than some very light, you know, light marks, which you're going to get, which have then obviously started to corrode, surface corrosion. It's in remarkable condition. You just don't see the Zolatone bikes like this unless it's literally never been ridden. What else? Everything else original. These STI shifters, I didn't even have to do anything with them. Flushed them out with some WD-40, changed some cables. We're done. Work like absolute magic. GeoLX cantilevers. But it's turned out to be a remarkable bike, and it's in remarkable kind of a remarkable barn find. Would you even call it that? No, it was being used, but it was just being used very lightly, and you just don't see them like this. And I know you don't see them like this because it has a sibling. in the workshop. This is my original Marin Palisades trail from exactly the same year, and it's not so good. Did live in a garage by the North Sea for many years, and you can see if you stand up too closely, and you know, parts were changed. It was ridden hard. I raced on this back in the day. You can see this is Exage 300 LX and the Biopace chainrings. Some of the differences: the moulded Exage cantilever brakes as opposed to the metal ones higher up the range. Also, if you look at the thickness of the tubing may be the same, but the diameter of the tubing on those forks, it's much thicker. It's possibly hard to tell. Maybe that angle's better. It goes much more like spaghetti on the Palisades trail, much thinner at the bottom. Probably hard to tell, but there are some subtle differences there. So while the tubing remains the same, it's this the Tange MTB buttered. I think the tubing is a slightly wider diameter on the Eldridge, but it's just a stunning thing, and I can't wait to use it. These Walber rims, I think I've mentioned it already in the video, but these originally look like they've barely been used. Look at that braking surface. Maybe this person did never use the brakes. Brave, but you know, if you're a talented rider, that's what you can do. So very happy with this. We now have two of these. The Shadowy Cartel, which I'm a member of, a proud member of, and now attempting to complete the set. We already have a Team Marin from '91 in the collection. We have a Team Titanium in the collection from, I think that's also a '91 vintage. Bear Valley, Muirwoods, Pine Mountain, they're the ones that elude us from the original setup. We're not counting some of the later additions, hybrids, all those bikes that were added to the range really to plug probably the price gap and compete with the other brands out there. But yeah, there it is. If you love Marins, you're going to be a fan. If you love retro mountain bikes, you might just be able to appreciate it for the condition it's in. But I'm very happy with this, and yeah, hopefully I get to ride it soon. It's an exquisite thing. I even managed to heat up that decal and get it to re-engage the glue. Probably won't last for more than 5 minutes, but it's okay for the gram and for the tube. It looks like it's all there. Anyway, I think that's about it. Thanks for watching. Again, this is one of the first videos back after probably too long. Maybe I'll find another build to treat you to shortly. Thanks for watching.